Okay. Any questions on the thumb pectoral index as far as how to do it correctly, and as importantly, how to train this safely? Guys, historically, retention shooting is considered a fairly high liability area of instruction, okay? It doesn't have to be, provided there is some foresight put into the drill process, okay? We can get below average shooters through these drills because we control motor activity. A lot of times when people teach, introduce, give you a glimpse of retention shooting, it's usually kind of an addendum to a larger GP 101 tack handgun 16-hour type class, right? And quite often, the instruction is fairly cursory or superficial, okay? It's not the focus like this class is on this area. And honestly, if you get into a class on a weekend that you're doing with whatever IG rock star, and he wants to do retention shooting with you, and he's like, all right, bro, this is how you're gonna do this. You're gonna get right on that target, and when I say go, you're gonna fucking tiger claw draw and blast him. All right, let's do that. And that's the limit of your instruction. I would seriously consider sitting that shit out, okay? Couple other things I want to mention. One of the reasons, and I'm getting into some instructor development stuff here, more and more, but as importantly, we're giving you a peek behind the curtain as far as how we control the class and how we do the instruction. So a couple things. One of the reasons I use my voice as opposed to using a whistle or a timer or an air horn is I can't really gradate a single stimuli, okay? When I use my voice and I issue range commands, if I want to speed you up, I'll clip the command of execution. I'll say, ready, go. If I want you to slow down, I'll say, ready, draw. And people tend to kind of follow along and model what they hear physically, okay? So it's a way for me, when I use my voice, it's a way for me to turn the knob on and off, okay? And dial you up or dial you down as I need to. Couple other things, again, to be aware of. Range generalship and how we're doing this. Notice when I run the range as the primary instructor, I have the 10,000 foot view of the line. I, as the PI, don't go in and make individual corrections. That's what Rob and that's what Brian do. Their field of view is this wide. My field of view is this wide. My job is to run the process. Their job is to make individual corrections, okay? And we have to work in sync with each other to make sure we get through the drill. The other thing to notice is and I told you, one of the things you need to do, we're constantly testing your engagement, especially as these drills get higher and higher liability and more precarious in nature. Your hands are real close to your gun and your hands are all real close to your body, okay? So one of the things to look for when you start doing stuff like that in a class is how engaged your instructor is with the process, and especially the process as it relates to the actual people. So here's a hint. Listen to the cadence that I'm giving, okay, right now. Ready, draw, fire, holster. Ready, draw, fire, holster. Ready, draw, fire, holster. Now that third iteration that I just did, what you all started to do was just kind of glaze out and metronome, right? Everybody's like, yeah. I'm kind of hypnotizing you with the cadence of that. Here's the thing, if you hear an instructor issuing range commands or range control, I don't care whether it's a whistle or a timer or whatever in that monotonous metronome kind of way, okay? He's really not engaged with the line so much as he's bound to his process. Yes, he's trying to facilitate the process, but you have to relate the process to the line, okay? Here's what's happening in the line. This guy over here is slow and pokey. So he's in the middle of fucking around with exchanging a partially depleted magazine for a full magazine because he doesn't want to shoot the slide lock. So he's late on putting the gun away. This guy has fired earlier, okay? All of a sudden the line starts to sound like popcorn, okay? And when I am issuing a holster command, some guy over here is still shooting and somebody misses the information, okay? So you'll notice, and again, a way for you to assess my engagement is when you hear me say, ready, draw, fire, holster, that kind of tells you I'm actually assessing the line to see the effect of the range commands and to make sure everybody's in play, okay? So if you hear kind of a consistent metronomic quality to the cadence of range control, that kind of should clue you in if you have an opportunity to actually look at the instructor and see, are they watching the line as they facilitate range control in the process? That'll tell you that instructor's engagement with you. Does that help? Does that make sense? And it's, guys, it's really important because it's a fairly glutted market. Everybody has hung their shingle out, okay? What's the difference between a $550 course and a $650 course and a $750 course when everybody has flashy photography and editing and can make themselves look cool and knowledgeable and appear to have a deep base of knowledge, okay? Yeah, it's stuff like this. That's what makes the difference in a high-level, well-regarded, well-established, vetted course of instruction. And that's not just me, that's with anybody. But more and more, you need to be an informed consumer and you need to get a peek behind the curtain. And the instructor's not willing to share their process for how they run the range and how they do things, because you're scared you're going to run away with industry secrets, then they're not very good at what they do. When you can out-me me, you can have my business. All right, that's the way I look at it. So I don't have any fucking secrets. Questions on anything at all? All right.